Hi, I'm Dan Hegstead. Welcome to our podcast and vlog, Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving. This is episode 5. We're going to talk about change today. If you have any comments, you can leave those below if you're watching on my YouTube channel, or email me, dan@danhegstead.com. Got any questions? Something I wasn't clear about? You want to challenge me on something? I'm all over that, so that's just fine. Leave the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, or email me, dan@danhegstead.com. So today we're talking about change, because that's the next step in the process. The book, Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving, is a book about change, and some of the original titles I was working on were basically directly referencing change, because it comes from a history of me trying to help people learn and be better, and how difficult that is. People come because they want something different and better, but as soon as it starts to work, they leave. Why is change so difficult, especially when we humans have the ability to choose change? We can choose to be different. Your dogs and cats and cows and horses can't do that. Plants can't do that. We are the only creatures on this planet that can choose to be different. And it's challenging, and we resist it, but think of the possibilities. If you can choose where you want to live, who you want to be with, what color you want your hair, what do you want to do for work, what you want to do for fun, you get to choose all that. And so many people don't. They just take whatever comes along, or if they're unhappy, they just accept it as their lot in life, because change is difficult. There's no two ways about it. Change is difficult, but it's doable, and it's wonderful, because once you learn how to change with intention, life becomes limitless. So why is change so difficult? Well, I think it's because of the fear of the unknown. We don't know what's next. We don't know what we're going to have to go through in order to accomplish the change we want. And our reptilian brain, our base brain, only wants us to be safe, and that's as far as it goes. And when you're talking about intentional change, it just screams, it shrieks, no, no, no. We like things the way they are. Even if they're not good, at least they're knowable. And we need to get beyond that. That's why the owner's manual for your brain, your thinker, is so important. You need to just say, okay, calm down there, base brain. You've done your job. Good job. I have been warned. But I'm going to choose to engage my higher brain, and I'm going to choose change. And your lower brain is not happy about that, and is just warning you everything could go wrong. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. And it's not. Your base brain is telling you the truth. This is going to be difficult, but it will so be worth it. It really will be worth it. It wants to know the future, and we can't know the future. So it says better to do nothing. And you can't argue with that logic. I mean, it's impeccable logic. But it's not what we're here for. It's not being human. You know, that is an animal that does that. Humans can choose a better life. And if it doesn't work out, you can choose something different. And to deny that out of fear is not healthy. It's not living your best life. It's not moving from coping to thriving. So choosing the life you want. Like I said, the quote on the front of the book from Carl Jung, I am not what happened to me. I am who I choose to become. I am who I choose to become, or I'm what I choose to become. What do you choose? And how are you going to get there? What a great journey. What a great choice. You know, this ain't no dress rehearsal. This is the real deal. You got to make changes in order to get on with your life. You know, they say you can survive anything a day at a time. People who've survived, prison camps and horrible stuff, they can survive anything a day at a time, but you can also waste your entire life a day at a time. just waiting for something to happen or you to rustle up the courage or I don't know what, but don't do that anymore. Stop wasting your life a day at a time and get on with the business of choosing change, even though it's kind of a scary thing to do. You just do it anyway. You're going to be fine. As I said before, nobody who has gone down this path, and you never come out the other side, but who has gone through the process of becoming who they were meant to be regrets it. Not one person ever. Let go of that fear. Tell your lower brain, just relax. We're going to be fine, and move forward. Well, it's easy to say. It's not easy to do. I grant you that. Now, the other part of this, you need to know, I'm a person who likes change. I embrace change. I'm one of those who said, if it ain't broke, break it. Let's go. Let's see what's next. What's down that road? I'm up for an adventure. I'm easily bored, so I'm up for something different all the time. And my wife thinks I'm crazy, but I'm about managing risk and let's try it. Let's see what's there. So I understand who I am, and you need to understand that too. I may make it sound like, well, it is. It's a good and wonderful thing. I truly get it, but I don't mean to dismiss your fear and apprehension. And I'm well aware of that. So I don't want to minimize that, and you shouldn't either. But move ahead anyway. So a lot of it about the future and change is we're afraid of it. So what are you afraid of? If it's just some fear that's out there, that's one thing. But when you really sit down and think about it, and again, pen on paper, what are you afraid of? Really think about it. And it's, on one hand, it's going to sound irrational. I'm a fear of, but it's still a real fear. That's good. So what are you afraid of, and can you live with that? Something to think about. Okay. I suggest trying some simple, easy, inconsequential changes just to prove to your brain and yourself that you can do it. Just taking a different route to work or some place you drive regularly. Try going a different way, even though it's longer. You can do that. Do something with your non-dominant hand. No consequence if it doesn't work or it's challenging. Practice with that a little bit. How about brushing your teeth? You've got a pattern you've been using for decades to brush your teeth. You don't even know what it is. Try doing it differently, doing it backwards or whatever it is. That is fun change, and it'll also slow down time too. Think about it. Now, your brain isn't going to like that, but try it. Just do it. You'll be fine. How about letting a friend choose a book for you or whatever, and then really reading it, where you didn't choose it. You're trusting your friend, and so find a friend you trust. But, it'll be something new and different, too. Check it out. Try it. See what you think. Now, work, a lot of times it's work stuff that gets to be pretty challenging for people because things are changing at work. COVID just blew up everything. I say it took the jigsaw puzzle of life and threw it up in the air, and all the pieces are coming down, and we don't know how they're going to land, and things are so different as we come through COVID, and things recreate themselves, and there's a new normal, and we don't know what it is, and I get it. It's challenging. And work is different. The one thing that comes to mind is that when things are changing at work, and if you're stressed by it, it's because you don't know what's coming. But a lot of times I think when things go bad at work, it's always a manager problem. And the workers get the blame, and sometimes that's quite legitimate, but a lot of times it's a management problem because somebody hasn't built trust, they haven't trained right, they don't trust the workers, they don't roll it out right, change in the past meant chaos, they made mistakes, all that. And that's bigger than we're going to get into today, of course. But think of those things. If you're in a work environment, you've got a management team that's changing things. I was so lucky in my last job with public television. I had managers I could trust. Things that I didn't know, and we were in massive change in television. But our general manager was so smart in so many areas. I just knew he had this down. He knew what to do. He knew how to do things right and do things well. Now, there were so many things out of our control as a TV station. I mean, the society's changing, technology. We had no control over any of that and just have to roll with it. So that was pretty challenging. And when time came to retire, I was ready to retire. I'm moving on to helping you. But work and change is another thing. Truth and honesty. That was the last episode of the vlog and podcast. Truth and honesty. And, that's so important. There's a reason why that was number 4, is because the truth about this, reality, it's about facing reality. What is this reality we live in? Getting rid of the rose-colored glasses and not being, overly positive, but not being negative either. Just getting real about what's this reality like? That's truth and honesty. And the reality is change is happening all the time, and we have control over almost none of it. And that's kind of a scary place to be. We'd like to think we do, but we don't. And getting to live in that reality where stuff happens and I have no control over it, that can be a pretty scary place for some people. I totally get that. And this is why your brain is afraid. It says you don't have control over this stuff. It doesn't matter whether you know it or believe it. It's still happening. You might as well live in reality where you just don't have a lot of control over things. That control is really an illusion a lot of times, but not always. And that's where we need to get real. That serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the change I can't, change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference. My gosh, in those few words come so much wisdom. If you can get to that point where you can tell the difference between the things you can change and the things you can't, and then you spend your energy on the things you can, and you just let go of the things you can't. It's a process of letting go. And there's just so much wisdom there. Putting it into practice is more challenging, and that's what we're talking about. Once you realize how little control you have over stuff, it's very liberating. You just let go of that stuff. And yeah, you wish it was different, but it's not. And we're living in reality now, so you let go of it. So you just quit wasting your time on those things. Quit putting your energy into that. And it may seem like you don't care. That's what I run into. I get worked up about the issues of the day, and I need to let go of that stuff. There's so much weird insanity happening in the world today. I just have to let it go. But part of me says, well, that makes it feel like I don't care. Well, that isn't true either. But that's maybe a whole other book. I don't know. But there are things you can control. And that's what you need to focus on. That's where life becomes beautiful. You can change yourself. Well, there's a challenge for you. One of the quotes I have at the end of the book, and I don't know who said it, I've heard it quoted, people try to change the world, but they never think of changing themselves. Yeah, it's easier to complain about the world than to change the thing you can, which is yourself. Yeah, that's why this is so challenging. You can change. You can. I know you can. With practice, with intention, with the right attitude, you can change. You can change the way you act and react. And we're going to talk about stress management coming up here, because that comes all down to managing stress and thinking. You can change what and how you think. It's true, you can. And if you're thinking you can't teach an old dog new tricks, anytime you hear something like that, the red flags and rockets should go off. My BS meter pegs when I hear that, because it's just not true. It's just an excuse, and it's Politely, let's call it nonsense. You can change the rules by which you live. And where do those rules come from? In the book, I ask you to, think of those things through. Write them down. Think of where they came from. Do they apply to you? You get to decide that. You can change your opinion, even if you were loud and stood loudly and proclaimed your opinion. You get to say, I was wrong. And you get to have a different opinion. You do, and it doesn't make you less of a person. It makes you more of a person. It makes you fully human. That's the sign of an evolved brain, is the changing your mind when you have new information. You can change your expectations. Expectations of outcomes, expectations of perfection. It'll drive you nuts if you expect perfection in yourself or anything else. It's an illusion. It ain't happening. You can change. You can do that. Your righteous anger. Yeah, there's a lot of things to be angry about, but you can let go of that too. You still get to be unhappy about it or still have your opinion, but don't let it control you. Some great quotes. That's an old Buddhist saying, I think. Relax. Nothing is under control. I love that. Relax. Nothing's under control. Let go or be dragged along. Let go or be dragged along. I like that. Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people. So think about those traditions. And somebody in a native community pointed that out, that didn't really work in their world. I totally get that. But bigger picture for most of us, think of the real meaning of that. What traditions do you live by that just don't work anymore, that you can rethink and decide what you want? So there's a little bit about change. There's a lot more in the book. Yeah, you should buy my book. I think that would be a good idea. It is available as a paperback. It's available as a Kindle ebook, and it is available as an audiobook read by me. And that's all on Amazon. The links to that are on my website, which is danhegstead.com. If you're looking for a good speaker, you might consider me. All that information is at danhegstead.com also. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Dan Hegstead. I'm here to help.